Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the live. Today, I'm going to be talking about how you can manifest anything, literally anything. And a lot of times people don't believe that they can manifest anything. So, in today's live, I wanted to talk about how there's evidence to support the fact that you can manifest anything. And so, my vision for this video is that it's going to give you inspiration and belief that you can accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. Are you guys hearing me? If you're hearing me, say hello. Let me know that you hear me in the chat. The last video that I did, I had the sound off. So if you hear me, especially on YouTube, let me know. And real quick, thank you to Vibe Conscious and Blogger EXO for the super stickers. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And if you've got questions about manifesting, feel free to go ahead and drop those into the chat because as I talk about all these things as evidence about how you can manifest anything, I'm going to be stopping and taking questions. So anything you'd like to know about manifesting or the law of attraction, feel free to go ahead and drop it into the chat. Really quick here. Hello to Mickey D, Cowlitz Bill, Blogger XO again, Christian, CH, Alexis, Eva. Hello to my lovely assistant, Mary. If you see Mary 1111, say hey to her, say hi to her. Carlton, etc. We got so many people saying hi. Hello, everyone. I'm also on Facebook today. So if you're on Facebook and you'd like to say hi or drop any questions about manifesting in the chat, feel free to do so. But again, today we're talking about how you can manifest anything. And a lot of times people don't believe that this is true. They think that there are limitations to what they can actually accomplish and what they can manifest. And sometimes it's the big stuff that trips people up, where someone will write to me and say, I've been trying to manifest this goal for weeks or months or even years, and it still hasn't come. Well, in the mind, that person has decided that that's the impossible dream. But it doesn't have to be, it can be shifted. And sometimes you see this on a smaller level too, where somebody wants to do something that really isn't that big. It's not like a ton of money or it's not a huge job, but it could be something as simple as changing a habit or changing a way of thinking. And they want to make the change, but they have all these yeah buts in their head. Yeah, but I don't have the money for that. Yeah, but my parents taught me this way. Yeah, but I've been traumatized and I can't do it. And so a lot of times the mind is telling you that things are impossible when in reality, nothing is impossible. You can manifest literally anything that you want. So I want to start off with a little bit of evidence. And again, I'm going to give you evidence throughout this live. And the first piece of evidence to support the fact, and yes, it is a fact, that you can manifest anything, you are not limited, is that if you look at today's world is an impossibility compared to the standards of years ago. And so this is a piece of evidence. If there's ever something that I want to manifest that seems impossible, this is an idea that I like to dwell on that I'm going to pass on to you, that I encourage you to think about too when you're trying to manifest something that seems like it's impossible, is to look back in time and compare what the people of the past would have thought about today. So, for instance, if you were to travel in a time machine back to the 13 or the 1400s, back to medieval times where there's peasants plowing in the fields, okay, and there is no real technology. Look back at people like that. What would they think about today's world? Or if you were able to travel to that time and try to explain to them some of the common things in this world, how impossible that would sound. So if you were to talk to a peasant in medieval times and try to explain to them what TikTok is, they would be so confused because that's so outside of the realm of possibility for what they were manifesting back then. And so this is a very important thing to understand, is that a lot of times we think that our present reality restricts us, that there's only certain things that we can attract. And we really only see what's around us in the here and now. And it's hard for us to envision a really big leap. Like a medieval times to a TikTok is it's a huge leap, right? Hard for us to imagine that. So instead of looking at your present world and trying to believe that it's possible, it's helpful to look way in the past and think about, what are the impossible things that we have today that people of the past, there's no way they would have thought that those things were possible. Lots of stuff like that is a great, great, great evidence that we can manifest anything because we really already have. All right. So that's my first little suggestion there. And I've got a number of them today. Again, these are all things that are set to encourage you to believe that anything is possible. You can manifest anything that you want. You are not restricted. All right. And again, yes, if you've got questions, please feel free to drop those into the chat. I'm going to answer as many of them as I can. And please keep letting me know if you hear me. Okay. Make sure that I'm coming through on the audio. All right, Mickey D. Hi, Andrea. For big goals like a beach house, should we continuously pretend inside that we have it already? That's common advice that you have it already, you have it already, you have it already. Um, I'm not the world's biggest fan of that advice, however. And the reason why is that it does often encourage people to cling to their dreams rather than letting them go easily. So this is a really important thing to understand about the law of attraction is that you really don't need to overly focus on the things that you want. And in fact, when we become overly focused, a lot of times we can become resistant. So the reason why I'm not a huge fan of continuously pretend that we have it already is that implies that there's a lot of work that we're going to be doing, right? Like we're going to be focusing on this regularly. We're going to be imagining that we have it. And that's a form of attachment. And actually, I'll go ahead and drop this in now as a quick reminder. I'm currently making a course and I'm going over this section right now in the course. So it's really fresh in my mind. I'm making a program right now on letting go and why it's really important for you to become a master of letting go and being able to ask for your dreams easily and just let them kind of float off because that's the easiest way for them to come rather than trying to force ourselves to do a lot of technique and over forcing ourselves to focus on outcomes, which commonly causes attachment. And attachment leads to resistance, and resistance pushes our dreams away. Okay, so that program is going to be called Relax and Detach. Mary, if you would drop that into the chat. I don't have it ready yet. It's going to be ready next month in October. But if you're interested in learning more about that law of attraction program, when that program goes live, I will be opening it up for a 50% off discount for the first week only. So if you'd like to get updates on when that course is available, as well as the coupon code to get it for 50% off, please make sure to go ahead and sign up for the updates. And Mary's going to go ahead and drop that into the chat. She already did. The new program, Relax and Detach, 50% off updates. There it is. And if she'd also put it into Facebook as well, I would appreciate it. That would be great. All right, so get that business out of the way. Got some more people here. Hello, Jennifer, Lori, Jane, Pedro, Alora, Christian, Snow Sparkle, Diane. Hello, hello. Blogger XO, hi, I really don't want to get a job. However, I'm coming to the end of my savings and need to pay rent, bills, etc. Do you have any tips on how to quickly improve money attraction? Loving your content. Oh, that's a good question. So, you clearly understand that you don't need to have a job, right? But you know what might be helpful? If it feels like you're coming to the end and you're up against kind of the deadline, what I might recommend is just go ahead and start applying for jobs and go ahead and get it in your mind. I'm going to go ahead and get a job. And the reason why is that if you can get on board with the idea of, okay, forget about this, I'm going to get a job in that moment, more often than not, that's when more money will show up so you don't have to get it. So have you guys seen this before? Like the minute you give up and say, okay, whatever, this dream isn't coming, I'm going to go in a different direction. That's when the dream often manifests because you're dropping the resistance. So if you've been holding out, holding out, holding out, and it's not coming, not coming, not coming, go ahead and cave in. And not because you want to have the job, but because caving in is going to allow you to just kind of fall into, okay, I'm going to do this because I know this works over here. I'm going to forget about this dream for a minute. You drop the resistance and then it shows up. So I might consider that. Even if you just want to start just looking for jobs, just to kind of take the pressure off of yourself. That's really what it's all about. All right. That's worked out for me so many times. I just give up and then it shows up. Oh, we see lots of people here over on Facebook. Hi, everyone. Yes, if you've got questions, feel free to go ahead and drop them into the chat. Hi, May. How are you? All right. And again, today we're talking about how you can manifest anything, literally anything. And again, a lot of times people believe that they can't, that they are restricted. There's certain things you cannot do. Like Andrea, I can't levitate and I can't fly. Right? Aren't those impossibilities? Maybe in our present reality, the way that it's constructed, but no, you can manifest literally anything. And so today I'm talking about evidence that supports this idea that you can manifest anything. So if there's something that you've been wanting to manifest and it isn't coming, or you don't quite believe in it, or this happens to you in the future where you want to manifest something and it's not coming, you can think back on these ideas to give yourself that sense of belief that anything is possible. You are the creator and you can do anything. All right. So the first evidence was to look into the past and how people of the past would look at this world right now with complete and utter shock and disbelief. The things that we have created in this lifetime are enormous compared to what has happened in the past. Okay. And so that's one thing to look back on. Wow, today's world is a total impossibility. So clearly, anything is actually possible. All right. For the second piece of evidence, this is a piece of evidence I love, which is that things always get better. Things always get better. Now, the pessimist will tell you things always get worse, right? But in reality, if you think about it, things always get better. Okay, so there's more money in the world now than ever. People are living longer now than ever. If you were watching the Olympics a few weeks back, I'm always amazed that when you watch the Olympics, there are always new world records and Olympic records that are being broken in each and every Olympics. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. However good we get, we always get better. There's never a ceiling on improvement. And that's a really important thing to internalize and to understand because a lot of times the world that we're creating is built up on our current present limitations. And so it's very easy to believe that the world that's around us is the way things are. And there's no real hope for us to really make a quantum leap. But if you look at things like look at the Olympics, for me, that one's a fun one. When I was little, I used to be a figure skater. I didn't do it for that long, but I did figure skate for a while. And so I love to watch Olympic figure skating in the Winter Olympics. And so it was interesting because in the last Winter Olympics, I was watching and the things that those girls can do today, wow. I mean, none of the girls that were winning back in the 90s would have a shot because the bar is now so much higher. And so this is an important thing to understand. An important thing and phenomenon to notice is that no matter how good it gets, it always gets better. And there's lots of evidence to support that. So if you ever feel that you're stuck and you're not going to move forward, you're not going to hit that next level, you're not going to get that job or that relationship or that financial status, look into your reality at that evidence that things are always improving. It's inevitable. It's guaranteed to happen. Okay, that's my next piece of advice there and evidence for you to remind yourself of that anything is possible. You can manifest literally anything with the law of attraction. Hello, Danasha. How are you? Hi, Jamie. Danasha asks, is it better to be specific about what you want to manifest or be more general? That's a good question. Okay, so specificity is great if you're in a state of positive expectation. So if you're not feeling particularly resistant, it's a great time to be specific. If you are feeling hesitant, if you aren't feeling like it's really that possible, general's better because general means there's more options. You're not so limited. It's easy to believe in a general dream than a specific dream. So that's kind of the way we want to look at it is you want to be in as positive a place as possible when you ask for things so that you're feeling optimistic. And if you feel optimistic, ask for specifically what you want. But if life's, kind of going not as high, much easier to be general. And then as you start attracting your general dreams, your vibration's going to go up. You're going to feel more confident and then you can get more specific. So for instance, let's say that you want to attract money. A lot of times people will learn about the law of attraction and they'll want to manifest a specific goal. Like I want to manifest $1 million by May 2nd. Okay. Very, very specific. But if they're not feeling particularly abundant or they don't believe that that's possible, an easier way to go about it to start is to say, okay, I would like to manifest more abundance this month or more financial abundance this month. That's a very general goal. It could mean an extra million. It could mean an extra $10. But the beauty about that goal, that general goal, is that if you put that general goal out, you're more likely to achieve it because it doesn't require you to expect so much. And then once you accomplish it, now you're feeling more abundant and you're feeling like, yeah, I can manifest, I can do this. And then you can be more specific. All right. So it depends on where you're at with the thing that you want to attract. Hello, Picket Music. Hello, Tan Boon Tian. Hello, Sylvie. JSLA 25. Hi, Andrea. Do you have any recommendations on how to change beliefs? Yes, quite a few. The go-to one that I like to do is just ask yourself what's the opposite of the belief, and then look for evidence of the opposite belief. So if your belief is I'm not worthy, and that's your limitation, the opposite belief that you would want to embed and ingrain into your mind is I am worthy, right? And so once you know what the opposite belief is, that's the belief you want to start rehearsing. I am worthy. And one of the best ways to do that is to look for evidence. What is evidence that I am worthy? So when you're looking around throughout the day, how am I worthy? Why am I worthy? What we're often doing is we're looking for evidence. What we are doing is we're looking for evidence of our limiting beliefs. So if I have a limiting belief that says I'm not worthy, when I look out into my reality, I'm looking for evidence of me not being worthy. So if somebody cuts me off in traffic, see, I'm not worthy. Friend doesn't text me, see, I'm not worthy. And so we start collecting data to support our limitation. So the easiest way to flip it without going to therapy and doing other things is to simply look for the evidence of the opposite. Sit there and think about it. Why am I worthy? Oh, somebody let me in with traffic. See, I am worthy. Friend texted me back. See, I am worthy. Ooh, I got an A plus on my paper. See, I am worthy. Right. And so when your mind is focused here rather than there, you're going to start to travel in the direction of that new belief. So it's really about what are you scanning your environment for and collecting evidence of. That's my primary strategy. There are others, but I like that one. Oh, we got another super chat here. Alexis, thank you so much. I am unemployed and looking for a job. How do I manifest a job where I like the people I work with on a daily basis? I want the boss slash owner of the company to like me and for me not to be overworked. I like that question. I like the relationship questions because I feel like manifesting results with people is like one of my favorite pastimes. I used to struggle a lot with relationships. So figuring out how to crack this code has been a lot of fun for me. And the fun about it is you can work with this in so many different ways that you can see the law of attraction working. All right. So you like the people that you work with on a daily basis. The big thing to understand is that don't worry right now about manifesting the job with the people in it. The people you will align with when you get there. Okay. So right now, I want you to just kind of focus on the job and getting the job. And perhaps the owner, when you go to interview, we're going to work on our magic in the interview. Okay. But with people, it's really great to manifest relationships with people on the first meeting. The first meeting. So when you meet people, people are a blank slate. They're a blank slate. So when you go in, for example, when you go in for an interview, the boss or the person interviewing you, they can respond to you in a multitude of ways. So there's an infinite number of realities where an infinite number of outcomes occur. There are realities where you get the job and the boss likes you. There are jobs where you don't get the job and the boss still likes you. There's jobs where you get the job and the boss hates you. There's all these different outcomes that you can align with, but you align with them in real time. So when you go into these interviews, you want to focus on connecting with the person that you're dealing with in that moment in a positive way so that you can line up with the most positive version of them that's going to work well with you. So when I would go into an interview, what I would be thinking about first and foremost before you go in for an interview or before you meet new people, really good idea to get yourself in a positive vibration. Okay, so you want to kind of get yourself in a good mood, listen to good music, take care of yourself, put yourself together so you're feeling really good so that when you walk into the interaction, your vibration's up here rather than down here. This right here is what screws up a lot of people with interviews, by the way, is that they spend, the day freaking out and getting stressed. And when they walk in, they're coming at it from a paranoid perception. Okay. So a good thing to understand is there's always another interview, there's always another chance. So even if this one doesn't go well, no big deal. This is practice. I'm just going to practice my vibrational shifting with people, but I'm going to get myself in a good vibration. When I meet this person, the big thing you want to hammer home with any person that you're dealing with is, what do I like about this person? What do I like about this boss? And not only that, what do we have in common? What do we have in common? So if you can focus on those two questions when you meet potential interviewers or new people that you're working with, when you meet them, you want to look for those two things. What do I like about this person? What do I have in common? So see, the mind is looking for, these are the positive aspects. I'm looking at a positive person right now. Okay. These are the things I like. He smiles. She's got a nice voice. She was very friendly. He was very helpful. In your mind is just looking at, this is the good stuff. And also, what do we have in common? Well, we're both women. We're both brunettes. We both live in Florida. We're both wearing shirts today. It can be that silly. The reason this is very important is that when people meet other people, what frequently gets in the way is they start looking for evidence that the person doesn't like them or evidence that there's something wrong with that person. What's this person's flaws? Or this is what makes us different. He's so much smarter than me. She's been here so much longer than me. And what that does is it aligns you with a person who doesn't like you as much because you're not shining on them that you like them. Rather, you're shining on them. These are the things I don't like about you. And instead of looking for connection, you're looking for things that make you different. You really want to focus on connection with people because when you focus on connection through the law of attraction, you'll become more connected with that person. If you're focusing on things that we all have in common, like we all like the law of attraction, okay? We all enjoy video media, okay? These are things that we have in common. When you focus on those things, the people around you will come in and connect with you. So, right now, Alexis, you want to focus on just looking for the job. Just look for the job and get excited about the idea of putting this into practice when you go for interviews and when you start meeting your coworkers. You will align with the coworkers once you get to the job. But remember that once you meet them, you want to focus on, what do I like about these people? And what do we have in common? And yes, if you guys have not yet, please make sure to go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me over here on Facebook. I do lives like this every single week. So please come along and join me for the ride. Also, if you haven't yet taken my manifesting test, please make sure to do that. I know a lot of you have already taken it, but it's a very quick, free 5-minute test where you can put something out and watch it come back so that you know for sure that you are the one creating your reality. You can tell that you actually are a manifester. All right. Mary's gone ahead and dropped that into the chat over on YouTube. I think she'll probably do it on Facebook as well. And then you could also find that at manifestingtest.com. Again, that's manifestingtest.com. That's more evidence for you that you are a manifester and you can do anything. Okay? You can create anything that you want. And yes, please go ahead and drop more questions into the chat. I'm going to answer as many of those as I can today. Pedro. Andrea is the authority on law of attraction. Listen to her. Thank you for the shout out, Pedro. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right. So again, we're talking about today that you can manifest anything. You are not limited. You're not limited in what you can create. It may seem like you are, but you're not. And so the first piece of evidence that I talked about is that if you look back to like centuries ago, those people would think this world is just insane, that it's a total impossibility. If you went back and told them all the things that we have in today's world, they'd tell you that you were lying. Okay. They would believe that this was impossible. But people are always manifesting amazing things, things that go outside of the scope of believability. All right. So that's your first piece of evidence that you can do anything, absolutely anything. The next piece of evidence was that things always get better. So I gave that example of the Olympics and how every single Olympics, people are breaking records because there's no limit to how good they can get. All right. And so this is another thing to understand. A lot of times you feel like you're stuck. This is the level I'm stuck on. You're never stuck. And in fact, you're going to get better. Things always get better. All right. The next piece of evidence is more personal evidence. And so this piece of evidence is that you've already done things that you thought were impossible once upon a time. All right. So again, we get very grounded in our present reality and we start to think that this is all that it is. I'm stuck here. I'm not going to be able to get this dream over here. But your life has been a series of manifestations of creating things that once upon a time were impossible. Okay. So if you look way back into like your childhood or your early childhood, all of the things that you have created and done as a child, you would not have thought you would have been able to do. Okay. Perhaps you've manifested some stuff that once upon a time you didn't think was possible. So I know for me personally, having a business was something that I thought was an impossibility. I thought that I was always going to have to work like a 9 to 5 or a blue collar job. I really, really did. And I was stuck with that for a long time until the age of 34. I really didn't think it was possible, but it happened. Okay. And so I want you to think into your own life about what are the things that once upon a time you thought were impossible, perhaps dreams that you were stuck on for a long time, but they finally did materialize at some point. I guarantee that you have stories like that in your past. And when you're stuck on a dream, when something isn't coming and you start feeling like it's impossible, it's a really great idea to look back at those dreams from your own life to remind yourself that anything is possible. One thing that I do suggest is to get a list of these. Write down a list of the dreams that kind of like your greatest hits of the things that you manifested that once upon a time you thought were impossible. And if you start to feel discouraged, pull that list up and just start reading through it. And it will immediately make you feel like anything is possible. It's going to get you into alignment with believing that you can have the things that you want. I really do think that, plugging this into like a notepad on your phone is a great idea. I use the notepad on my phone for lots of stuff. I've got lots of lists and things like this that I can pull up and look at that stuff when I need a vibrational shift or adjustment. Okay, so looking at the evidence in your own life about the things that you've created that once upon a time when you were younger you thought were impossible, that's really great evidence to keep you in alignment with the belief that you can manifest anything that you want. All right. Hello, Alistair from North Yorkshire, England. Hello, hello. Janine, do you feel that manifesting has equally be realistic and practical to what your resources are at that time? No, it doesn't have to be. However, if your dream is realistic, it will be easier for you to manifest quickly because it's not going to feel like such a big deal. Okay, so what I mean by that is it's going to be easy for you to let go of it if your dream seems realistic and practical. Because if it seems realistic and practical for the resources that you have right now, what you're saying in that moment is that vibrationally, I feel very close to this thing. Okay. Whereas if you're trying to manifest something that's kind of wild and out there by your definition, what you're saying is, I feel vibrationally far away from this thing. So there's a little bit more vibrational adjustment that has to occur. All right. But it does not have to be realistic and practical. You can make those shifts and you can make those leaps. Okay. It can be done. People make quantum leaps all the time and go from like rags to riches, or they go from eternally single to having the love of their life. Like these things do happen because people are capable of making those shifts. But it does help to have in your mind that anything is possible. And that's again like why we're making this video today, is that we really want to get it into our minds. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. So that when you guys do have like those larger dreams that do feel far away, you're not fighting against them with the belief system that a lot of people have that aren't into the law of attraction, which is that they're bound by their circumstances and that there are limitations, that limitations are real. And when you have those fundamental beliefs, doesn't matter what kind of vibrational work you do, making those giant leaps is going to be very challenging. All right. So, but yes, you do not have to restrict yourself to what is practical. Not at all. I think it's more fun when you don't. Rainbow traveling yogi, you love my shirt. Well, thank you. This was a last minute decision. I had a different shirt I was going to wear, and I'm like, you know what? Let's wear purple. Nan Gum, I manifested my specific person back in my life. How do I ensure our relationship is fully changed to the ideal perfect relationship? The BS from before is gone. Well, if the BS from before is gone, that's good. Oh, your question just jumped on me. Hold on. Okay, so one thing I would say is that you don't want to get too hung up on the idea of it being ideal or perfect, because if there's any evidence at any point in time that things aren't perfect, you might start attending to that, which will drag it down. Some people have this issue with relationships, is that when they first meet the person, they're really great and they see all the perfection in them, but over time they start to notice the flaws. This is very common. We start to notice the flaws in our partner, and then as we notice the flaws, we get more flaws, more flaws, more flaws, and what started out as this beautiful perfect relationship can quickly devolve into a pile of trash. So getting outside of that mindset that it has to be the ideal perfect relationship is helpful, because what we want to focus on instead is that, no matter where this relationship is, I can always make it better. Okay, I can always make it better. We can always make improvements. So I like that way of looking at relationships, so that if there is a hiccup, if your partner does something you don't like, you can still reframe and say, okay, well, we can make this better, or what are signs that it's getting better? So I like the idea of striving for a really great relationship, but don't pin yourself in the hole where we're not allowed to have problems. Okay. This is something a lot of people struggle with when they're manifesting, is like, I should be able to make this perfect. There should be an absence of problems at all times. But what that ends up meaning is that at all times, you have to be on a perfect vibrational level 24 hours a day. Because if you get sad, or if you have a bad day, or you get frustrated and you start manifesting negative things, now your whole dream is shattered. Okay. So it's very important to understand that your vibration is always in flux. And so when you're in a high vibration, your partner is going to be better. When you're in a low vibration, your partner is going to be worse. And so if and when there are those fluctuations, don't take it as a sign that the relationship is inherently bad. Rather, okay, we're just a little bit out of alignment. Let's see if we can kind of tune it back up. Cowlitz Bill, can you speak more about feeling good for the sake of it and not because we have something specific we want to manifest? Thank you. So important. It's important that you feel good for the sake of feeling good, because at the end of the day, you are the creator and you are the all. You are the one. You do have and contain everything inside of you already. So, when you're in a high vibration, you know that. You guys ever had a day or an hour or even just a moment of time where you just knew you were in the pinnacle, that really high flying place. You just felt on fire. And in that moment, everything was perfect. Everything was perfect. It's like you have this inner knowing that you have everything, you're connected to everything, and it's true. It's authentic because that is the reality. You are all that is. That's what you are. The creations on the screen, the things that we're putting into reality, manifesting into reality, are simply projections. That's it. So being happy for the sake of being happy is absolutely critical, because everything's already inside of you. And when you're happy, you already know that. So what happens is when you're in that state, you start to see things on the screen that reinforce that inner knowing. When we get really hung up on a specific dream and trying to get happy for the specific dream, what we're saying is, I'm not all that is, because there's something outside of me I don't have, and I feel bad about it. Okay. So trying to be happy to get something you don't have is actually a way of saying, I'm not happy. I'm not in alignment. I'm not knowing what I am. And then not only do you not get that thing that you want, but your vibration starts to dip and you start to attract more things you do not want. So being happy for the sake of happiness is important. Understanding that maybe this thing over here isn't working out right now, but if I just get happy, I'm going to see that I am the creator. I'm going to see it. There's going to be evidence of it everywhere. And it's not even going to matter. Okay. Putting the cart before the horse is the issue with trying to get happy to manifest something specifically. You always want to be happy for the sake of being happy. And then you don't really need to be worried about manifesting things in specific, because they're already just going to start showing up. Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up. Super, super important. Super important. All right, guys. Again, today we're talking about how you can manifest anything, anything with the law of attraction, literally anything. We have some more evidence for you here today. All right, next piece of evidence. And this is evidence I've been thinking about a lot because, our world has changed quite dramatically in the last year or so with the advent of AI becoming commonplace. All right. So it's everywhere now. We live in a time where we have literally collectively created a world where answers and solutions are at our fingertips, like literally. So, like, if I were to think back when I was a kid in the 80s, because I'm a dinosaur, back then, like, if you didn't know something, you just didn't know it, or you had to try and get to a library and hope you could find a book and then hope you could locate the information in that book to get that information. We do not live in a time like that. We've literally collectively manifested a time where you can find an answer, a solution, anything that you want very, very quickly. So the manifestation has become more ingrained into the reality. It's become even physically kind of ingrained into reality. This belief that we can just get things that we want, we can answer questions and get them tangibly in the present reality right here, right now. And so for me, this is fantastic evidence that anything is possible, because think about it. You have literally manifested yourself into a world that has this kind of a capability. Like, that's absolutely insane that collectively we have done that. We've crossed that particular barrier. You can do that. You can manifest anything. Okay. Like, literally, think about that. There's the fact that there's not just the internet, but we have artificial intelligence. There's answers that are just being created and generated for us. Anything that we want is at our fingertips. If you can think of it beyond this, like, if you want to eat something, you can just have someone drop it off at your house now. You don't have to go out into the field and go, get it yourself. It can just be delivered to you. Things are literally, the whole way that the physical framework of reality has been set up has been geared more and more to you just getting what you want without you having to take action, literally. So to me, that's a huge piece of evidence that anything is possible because all this stuff that we used to have to go out and get and do, because unless you were just, some really zenned out manifester above and beyond the people around you, everyone's doing this where they're just allowing things to come to them easily. Okay, so that's another great piece of evidence that anything is possible. Gabrielle Rose, your wonderful words of wisdom have helped me so very much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hello, Diane. Hello, Dawn. Hi, everyone. Hi, Alexander. Yes, if you guys have questions, feel free to drop them into the chat. I'm going to answer as many of those as I can. Lots of questions here. Oh, goodness, so many. Christian, hi, Andrea. Is it possible to manifest loyalty from a partner? And can you also manifest cheating from the same partner? Sure. I mean, whatever you like. you know, the thing about that, though, is that you got to do it in reverse. So, trying to make someone loyal is probably going to be more successful in making them cheat. So I would think about that. Not that you want to think about giving them permission to go cheating, but the people that are going to be the most loyal to you are the people that you let kind of come and go. A lot of times people get very clingy with their partners because they don't want them to cheat, and that ends up causing the cheating. So it's kind of like that trust to just let them go. We're going to meet up when we can. That can be great. And being very paranoid, keeping up on your partner, trying to force them to be loyal has the effect of frequently causing people to want to cheat because you're pushing against. Okay, it's resistance. All right, so sneaking through people's phones and following them is more likely going to create the cheating experience. But yes, you can have it either way, whichever you prefer. Dub me Kosh. Hello, Andrea. You're awesome. Well, thank you. Possible to manifest great sleep. Dealing with insomnia. Feels like I'm chasing sleep every night. Oh, I'm sorry. I've been there before and I know it's stressful. So, what I think is helpful when it comes to sleep, again, is not trying to force the issue. So, like if I'm having a night where I'm having a hard time falling asleep, what I'll usually do is just tell myself, "Well, I'm just gonna lay here and, if it doesn't happen, it's fine. I'll just watch some TV." Like, take the pressure off of yourself to force yourself to go to sleep. Because that's what again, that's resistance, and that's going to keep you up. Other things that are helpful is telling myself things like, "Well, it's fine. I could take a nap later tomorrow, or I can catch up on sleep at another time." But not making this insistence that I have to fall asleep right now. That's what prevents the insomniac from falling asleep is there's this insistence it has to happen. If it doesn't happen, I'm not going to get enough sleep. And then that creates more anxiety and more resistance, and that pushes the sleep away. Another thing is, some people are, if it's easier to go to a doctor and get medication, then you can do that too. A lot of times people want to manifest things without taking medication or going to doctors, and you can do that. But if you get to a place where it really feels outside of your control, sometimes it's helpful to go to a doctor or to get medication because it's easier to believe that I can fall asleep with this medication than by myself. All right. So that's what we call permission slips. I don't believe I can do this on my own, but I think the doctor can solve the problem for me. So I'll go see the doctor. And so I don't recommend that you just go to the doctor immediately for every little thing. But if you've gotten to the point where this is really stressing you out, that's an idea too. But the big thing is just not making it such a big deal that it has to happen. I'll catch up on it eventually. Maybe I'll just lay here and rest my eyes for a while. If I don't fall asleep, it's fine. I'll get up and work, or I'll get up and read, or I'll get up and do something else. Okay? So those are my recommendations for that. You get through it. Oh, and when you do sleep, celebrate it. So if you wake up and you got like 5 hours last night, like, wow, look at that. I got 5 hours. I manifested 5 hours of sleep. Man, when you do get to sleep, get excited about it, because then that will increase the amount of sleep that you get. That's the other end of that equation. Felix, hi Andrea. How to get clear on what I exactly want? You're shifting paths kind of often, business and friends. Do you have any advice? Thanks. Yeah, validate that that's a positive. That's a positive. A lot of times people they struggle with this. Like I'm hopping around a lot. I was supposed to finish this, or I was supposed to stick with these friends. I was supposed to make this business work, but now I'm over here doing this. And they assume that what they're doing is wrong. I didn't finish what I was supposed to finish. I didn't stick with it. Reframe that. Maybe I'm lining up with a better path. Maybe I got everything I needed from that relationship. Maybe there's a better relationship waiting for me now. You get it? So there's this big feeling that we're supposed to stick with things, stick with people, stick with goals, stick with stuff. But if you're not feeling it, that's a sign that you're being moved in a higher direction. When it loses its sparkle and you just can't do it then don't do it. Sticking with things like that, a lot of people do that. Especially when you look at like relationships, like friendships, people will stick, well, we've been friends for 10 years, so I can't give up on this now. But the magic's just not there anymore. And the more you hang in it with that person, the worse it's getting. So, if the magic isn't there and you're being called in a different direction, you're being called in a different direction. And it doesn't mean that you might not circle back at some point and get back with that friend or get back with that business. Maybe you need to take a detour. All right. But negatively judging that desire to move will it's going to get you to the point where instead of moving with joy and fun and excitement, now you're moving in fear and trepidation. So the next venture isn't going to be as good as it could be because you're not validating that, oh, this is exciting. I'm being called in a new direction. So that's what I recommend for that. Give yourself permission to go where your vibration is trying to take you. That's really the big trick with the law of attraction, is following your guidance. So if your guidance is saying go right, it's time to go right. That's a good thing. There's something good there. Okay. CZ, hi Andrea. Do you have any tips on how to differentiate between the fear of facing things and negative associations? Like, should I go ahead and face my fears, or am I throwing myself out of alignment? I like face the fear because, okay, if we don't face the fear, we're running away from it. So, what we're saying is the fear controls me. Okay. If we face the fear, what we say is, I got this. I can handle this. Okay. So when there are things that are bothersome to you, it doesn't matter what they are. Like if you're afraid to confront somebody, or you're afraid to start a business, or try a new look, like whatever the fear is, running away from it amplifies it. Because what you're saying when you run away from it is, this controls me. I got to get away from this. And so it will chase you. Okay. The fear will continue to chase you. And so the longer you don't do that thing, the more bothered and fearful you will become. If instead you just confront it right away, you're meeting it face on saying, I can handle this. And then it stops being a fear thing. So I had to learn this with confrontation. I didn't used to be particularly confrontational when I was younger. And as I got older, I became more confrontational for this reason. I don't mean like aggressive for the sake of being aggressive, but if I didn't want to speak up, it would start to bother me more and more and more. Have you had this experience before? Where maybe somebody's bugging you and you need to confront them, but you're afraid to do it? You're afraid to do it, so you don't do it. So the tension builds and builds and builds. If you just do it right away, the fear goes away. That's it. It doesn't control you. And that situation that looked fearful shifts into one that's empowering. So yes, I'm a fan of facing the fears. Oh, Nettle likes the color too. I gotta wear more purple more often. This must be my color today. Martin Kelly, how do I manifest cash? Well, Martin, here's my number one strategy. Here's my purse. Carry cash on you. Lots of it. Lots of it. As much as you can. So, why? So you normalize it. You want to manifest cash, you want cash around you all the time. Because a lot of times people hide their cash, they hide their money, they don't look at it very often, and they freak out about it. They're afraid they're going to lose it because I can't even take it out of the bank or keep it on me. A lot of people won't carry that kind of money on them because they're afraid they're going to get robbed or they're afraid they're going to lose it. I've been carrying that much money on me now. I don't know. People could have robbed me by now. Who knows? But I'm so desensitized to it. It doesn't matter to me. And when it doesn't matter to you, if a stack of cash like that doesn't mean anything to you, what you say energetically is, this is a drop in the bucket. This is normal. It's normal for me to have this much money. And that attracts more to you. Start with what you can. You don't have to have that much on you. If that looked like too much, start with what you can, but keep adding more. Now, eventually, I'll use some of that money and I'll notice that the numbers are dwindling. And when I go back to the bank, I'll ask for even more. So it's a great idea. Try that out. Crystal Rose, what if you work with people who you have nothing in common with and don't like? Well, that just means like it's the reverse of what I talked about with that other question about manifesting, a job and people that you like. It's the opposite of that. So all that means is that when you met those people, like a lot of people, you're not the only one that does this. You started to notice things that you didn't like about them. You started to notice maybe they all were in a clique and I wasn't a part of it and I wasn't and that grew and grew and grew. Okay? So the big thing is the easiest way to shift it is when it starts with new people. Start with new people and try to create that idea that we have things in common and we like each other or I like you. For people that you're struggling with, the easier thing is to try and kind of move away from them a little bit and gradually focus on the commonalities and the things that you like. But understand that when there's people around that you really don't like, it takes a little bit of practice. So I might recommend hanging around some new people at work or keeping to yourself a little bit more and maybe doing some work when you're not around them. That's the other thing that's helpful is maybe when you're at home, get yourself into a good vibration and sit there and really think about pick one person, just one to start. Because if you can shift one, then you're going to be encouraged that, oh, I can do all of them. Okay. Pick the easiest one. Okay. So of all the people at work, who looks like the one that's the one I hate the least? Okay. Go home, get in a good mood, and then think about what are this person's redeeming qualities? What are some positive things about this person, and just make it your mission to slightly start to shift that person. And what you'll start to notice when you do that is as you go back to work, that person becomes increasingly more pleasant to be around. Now when you see that, and you will, pat yourself on the back. Look, I manifested a more pleasant coworker. I'm doing this. This is working. He or she will get better and better and better. And then once you're seeing that success with that one person, now go to work on the next one and the next one and the next one and build momentum. Okay. Don't try to change them all at the same time. Okay. That would be my biggest recommendation. Hope. Hi, Andrea. I'm so appreciative of the work that you do. Thank you so much, Hope. I appreciate it. Adriana says, that's so true. It's like when you think you want a certain food, you think about it, you want it, you get into your car, and then you go get it, and now you have it. Exactly. Is it possible to change a reality where my son doesn't have autism? Yes. I talk about this sometimes with the diagnoses. This is the big thing with the diagnoses. It's like we stamp them on us or on other people. I'm autistic. I have ADHD. I'm this. I'm a cancer patient. I am is hard to shake. So be mindful of taking on those labels, and then also don't fight against them. So one thing that could be beneficial is looking at, I think autism right now is having a moment. If it were me personally, that's what I would say. I would go with this idea. Autism's having a moment. It's becoming a lot more normalized and, very different from how it was interpreted when I was younger. I think it has a much more positive connotation on it these days. So I would go with that, and then what are the benefits? What are the positive ends of this? Why is this working out? Why might this be a superpower? Is one way I might work at it. Because what we're trying to do is we want to stop fighting against the diagnoses. This is bad. This needs to go away. And we want to reframe it. This is good. This is working out for us somehow. So, like when I used to be a teacher, I had some autistic students. Let me tell you something. Those autistic students were some of my best students. Some of the best ones. Great focus. They were really good with routine. They stayed on top of stuff. They did their work. A lot of them were very bright. Like, you want to go in that direction. Okay. Rather than focusing on what the perceived limitations are. Because if what you look at is this is what's working out, well, then it's going to work out more and more and more in a positive way rather than it having a negative expression. All right. So that's what I would be focused on. And then also not labeling him as such so much. That's the other thing too. Okay. We are not our diagnoses. When we say we are, or when we say people are, then it's like we really get ingrained into those. So for me personally, I've been diagnosed with things that I'm not anymore. Doesn't have to be forever. Thank you, Sylvie. Laura, if you re-gift something, does that encourage a poverty mindset? Not necessarily. I guess it depends on your attitude about it or why. I'm regifting because I don't want to spend the money, then yeah. But I'm regifting because this person might like this thing. I'm not going to use it, but so and so could use it. This is something I can give. It depends the slant that you come at it from. Any action by itself isn't necessarily going to make you more abundant or less abundant. It's more about the spirit of how you're doing that action. Is it coming from a place of I have more than enough to give? Or is it coming from a place of I feel broke, so I don't feel like I have enough to give? That's what you want to gauge when you give. Doesn't matter if it's regifting or if it's a present or anything. What's the attitude that I have behind it? Rachel, how much can you manifest your relationship improving versus should you move on to a different person? That's a judgment call. And I like that question. That's a really good question because you can do either, right? The question is, do you want them anymore? Do you want them anymore? You know? I mean, if it's gotten to the point where you're like, this is just, you know what, the energy is just so out of control right now. I don't even want to do cleanup, then get out. Okay. Because when we're talking about shifting relationships and changing relationships, the onus is on us to make the change. So I have to change the way I'm looking at this person. I have to start to look at them positively. I have to start expecting good things from them. I have to start looking for commonality. That can be done. Okay. But if you've been in a real squirrely mess with someone for a long time, there just may be so many things. It just may be overwhelming to you. And if that is the case, then the easier route is just to dip and move on. Okay. So it kind of depends on where you're at. So I've gone the path in my relationships of sticking with people and shifting. And I've also gone through the path of, you know what, this one's just out of control. So next, it's your call and it's your life. And so whichever one's going to give you the highest sense of joy in your life, that's the one I would go to. But I wouldn't be, if it feels like it's a lot of work, I would probably just dip, because why spend your work trying to fix this one thing over here when there's so many things that we can focus on improving in our lives? If it's that much work, I'd probably move on. And yeah, to that end, another reminder, I have another program that again is going on sale like in a week and a half. It's coming up real quick. It's my magnetic appeal program. This is a relationship and love attraction program. That one's going to be going on its best price sale, and it will be 50% off for 1 week only. And if you are interested in getting updates about that, along with the coupon code to get it for 50% off, I'll have Mary drop the link to that in the chat. Again, this is magnetic appeal, and it's really for all different kinds of love type relationships. So whether you're single and looking for a partner, or maybe you have a specific person that you're trying to connect with, maybe you're trying to reconnect with an ex, or maybe you're in a present relationship but you want to kind of shift it like we're talking about here and make it a better, more passionate relationship. All of that is going to be covered in quite a bunch of detail in magnetic appeal. That program is for all different genders and sexual orientations. I do get that question, so it doesn't matter how you're coming at it, it will work for you. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check out that link. Let's see. I still have so many questions here. I want to get at least another question or two. Hello, Andrea A. Ritchie. Why is it so difficult to manifest financial winnings? That's a good question. Like the lottery type stuff, a lot of people want to manifest the lottery wins. A lot of it has to do with the perception. It's a 1 in a million chance. It's a 1 in 100,000 odds. And so that gets in your mind that it's a chance. It's a small chance. It's a gamble. That's what usually impedes people from winning. So what can be helpful with that? I tried to work on that for a while when I first started learning about the law of attraction. And so if you want to get better at winnings, one thing you can do is join like lots of small little raffles, stuff like that, small little things, and start to think positively about those things that the odds are better, so that you can start attracting wins on a smaller level. And then as you're attracting them on a smaller level, you start rehearsing the idea that, oh, I win. I always win. I always win. And you can really ramp that up and start winning lots of stuff. So I played with that a little bit. I gave up on it after a while. It hasn't been something I've done for a while, but there were a couple years there where I was really going and having fun with that. So that's what I would recommend if playing with winning is fun. But again, the perception is there's a small chance. That's why we're not lining up with it, is because we believe it's a small chance. Introverted, this is an interesting question. Introverted affiliate. Why is there never a 500-pound fat person that wins a marathon because they believed they would win? Well, I mean, maybe in some dimension there is. The question is why haven't we manifested it? If I haven't seen it, I don't believe it's possible. Mark, hi Andrea. Do you think this is like a lucid dream we're in, or a simulation? Would you say downloading your thoughts into 3D? Yeah, that about sums up what I think. Yes. I mean, it makes sense, right? Mid city enlightenment. I will start carrying cash again. Good. Go for it. Our family adventures. How to find an occupation that you love doing, feel passionate about, and earn good money with. I tried so many different things as well as doing nothing to get off the subject and still nothing. Stop trying to force stop trying to force it. You really want to embed in your life that you do passionate stuff. A lot of times people try stuff like maybe this one will work, maybe that one will work, maybe this job will be good, maybe that job will be good. Instead, your whole life, you really want to be looking at this is what I want to do now. This is what I'm passionate about now. Even if you can't see how that's going to relate to a job in the future. So, like what I do now is a result of that. I didn't just start off teaching people about the law of attraction, but I really loved it. I was interested in it. I spent several years just studying it and being really passionate about it. And then I got the idea to get into the work. So give yourself permission to do like hobbies, activities, interests. Those are going to be the things that are going to be most likely to be things that you'll somehow be able to merge into something like that you're passionate about. But you don't turn away from things just because you don't see how they're going to relate to money. Coral petals. If I can offer this on autism, Dr. Berg on YouTube has a video on the real cause of autism. So maybe check that out. I haven't heard of Dr. Berg. Oh. Natalie Lauren. Hi, Andrea. So happy to catch you live. I've had several surgeries over the past 9 years, which has made it hard to work. Do you think I become financially independent even in this state? Yeah, maybe a different, maybe the kind of work you're used to, but maybe look at it as okay, did you like doing that work? Maybe this was the way out. Get it? So instead of, oh, I can't go to work, so now I can't make the money. Well, I didn't really like that stuff anyway. So maybe this was put in as the perfect diversion to get me on a path where I could do something different or attract money in a different way. Well, thank goodness I had these surgeries because it put an end to all that madness of working, doing something I didn't want to do. I'm not saying you didn't like doing what you did. I'm just saying if you didn't, that would be a really great way to look at it. But that's what I'd be looking at. A lot of times people look at these situations as, oh my goodness, I had these surgeries and now I don't have what I wanted. Instead, when things like that happen, you want to say, okay, this came out of the blue. This really shook things up. Maybe it's putting me on a better path. Maybe it's showing me the way. So now you're validating that I am on the right path to financial independence. This put me on the right path to it. All right. I hope that's helpful. All right, guys. Just a reminder if you have not yet, again, make sure to take my manifesting test if you haven't already. It's free, 5 minutes. You can find it at manifestingtest.com. Put something out and watch it come back. I wasn't able to answer all the questions. I answered as many as I could, but I will be back on Sunday. So if you are interested in asking your questions or re-asking them if I wasn't able to get to yours today, make sure to come back on Sunday. I'll be back at the same time, which is 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. And on Sunday, I'll be on YouTube and Instagram. So if you're on Facebook, come see me either on YouTube or Instagram. All right, guys. But yeah, that's going to do it for me today. I'm starting to get tired. But thanks so much for joining in. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. All right. Bye bye.